It's Wayne here. It's Lockdown Film Club, and it's my turn to choose a film for us to watch at some point over the next fortnight because we're now doing these things fortnightly instead of weekly because weekly was a bit much for everyone, I think, especially for me. Um, so we're also resurrecting the chain, so taking it in turns to choose a film related to the previous one. So 2 weeks ago, Nigel introduced Alan Parker's Birdie in tribute to Alan Parker. So I've had 2 weeks to think of a link and a film, and rather than go with what have I got? I've got notes, by the way. I don't do the idiot board thing. I do the idiot notes. Um, so yeah, I thought about childhood friendships, Vietnam vets. In the end, I just took the easy route and went with that famous movie trope of bird related mental breakdowns, which is actually a more fertile theme than you would have thought. I could have gone with Kez, um, Brewster McCloud, which is what I really wanted to go for, but it's very hard to get hold of on online. So I went with a film which I've always wanted to see, and this gave me an excuse to watch it. I mean, you know what it is anyway because you're watching this link and it says what these are. So it's I shall stop being coy. It's uh, give, let me once I've said the name once, I'll be fine. Alejandro Inarritu, I think that was right. Alejandro Inarritu's 2014 film Birdman, or to give it its full title, Birdman or the Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Um, so it's the first Inarritu film I've ever seen. His other films are, I mean, he's got quite a good um, track record. It's just none of them have really appealed to me before. Uh, Amores Perros, Beautiful, Babel, Babel, 21 grams, and The Revenant. The only one of which has really appealed was Birdman. So I gave it a shot and I really enjoyed it. So hence me sitting here talking about it now. So it's on Netflix. If you've got Netflix, even my mum's got Netflix now, so we're assuming most people have Netflix. So what have I got about it? So it's it's about a washed-up film star who's played by Michael Keaton, who's mostly well known for a role he played decades before, that of Birdman, a sort of crappy superhero, um, and he's trying to stage a kind of critical comeback by staging his adaptation of a Raymond Carver short story on Broadway. So that's the setup, and the kind of the gimmick, if you like, is that it's not shot in one take, but it looks like it's all shot in one take. So that's the film. Um, and the idea of shooting it in one take was the directors who said he wanted it to look like it's a single shot because we live our lives with no editing. So, presenting the film as a continuous shot, he says he could submerge the protagonist in an inescapable reality and take the audience with him, which he does. So, so he had the idea, he shared the idea with his three screenwriting collaborators who were all spread across the globe. They tried to talk him out of it, said it was a suicidal idea. Um, One shot couldn't work in a film, um, and they thought it'd be too distracting instead of immersive. Uh, and apparently, Dinalaris, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, Dinalaris, Alexander Dinalaris Jr., the playwright who was one of the screenwriters, says had they paused and considered the idea, they probably would have been able to talk him out of it during making the film as just unfilmable. But I guess going back to the subtitle of the film, one of the unexpected virtues of ignorance is that they didn't think about it and they just ploughed on. Although the ploughing on did take a year and a half to write the script, um, partly because they were all over the globe and the script was written via Skype and Zoom and emails, which I guess kind of makes it seem the writing technique contemporary at least. On page 2. And yeah, so what have I got? So the one-shot idea influenced the writing of the script because I had to write it so that it would be filmable as seemingly one shot. So one of the writers says, we wrote everything thinking of this one shot and a lot of decisions that would mostly be taken in... I'll read that again. We wrote everything thinking of this one shot, and a lot of decisions that would mostly be taken in the editing room were taken before shooting, because obviously they couldn't edit scenes out and move things around because everything needs to look as if it's one shot. So they needed to be dead certain about what they were filming, which is why it took so long to write the screenplay. So yeah, that's the writing. Took a year and a half to write. Then they cast it. So Michael Keaton obviously was cast because of his role as Batman back in the 90s. Or was it the late 80s? Before my time. So Michael Keaton was cast. Apparently he was a bit wary at first because he was worried that they might be sort of taking the piss a bit. But he read the script and loved it. I love the fact that Birdman is just a unspecified breed of bird, which makes it seem just that bit more crap as a concept. Who else we got? We've got Emma Stone, Naomi Watts, and Ed Norton. Ed Norton is brilliant in this. And when he sent everyone the script, he also included a picture of Philippe Petit, the guy who did the wire walk across in between the two towers, and says this is what we're going to be trying to film, basically. Emma Stone says, I know Alejandro is very adamant about keeping the rabbit in the hat and not being super specific about how it is shot, but I would say it took a lot of rehearsal and it was very specific. There was no luxury of cutting away or editing around anything. You knew that every scene was staying in the movie, and like theatre, this was it. This was your chance to live this scene. And apparently the number of takes for each scene was usually around 20 for the shorter scenes was 20 takes, and it wouldn't be until about take 15 when everyone would gel and be doing what they're meant to be doing at the right time. What else have I got? The locations put restrictions on the takes too, so most of it's shot around the theatre, backstage, on stage. There's one scene filmed in Times Square, which they just did in 2 takes because they didn't want to attract attention. So it's kind of done in situ, and it's all real, the reaction. So if they did more than 2 takes, people would wise up and know what's going on. It wouldn't seem so natural. The play within the film is Raymond Carver's What We Talk About When We Talk About Love, which is a great, very short story. You don't need to have read the short story before you see the film. I had read it, but years ago, and I went into watching the film pretty much ignorant of everything that was going to go on, apart from the fact I knew that it was set in one shot in film to make it look like it was filmed in one take. So I was kind of pleasantly surprised when it turned out they were adapting a Raymond Carver short story, even though I couldn't remember anything about it. And that didn't spoil my enjoyment of the film at all. But I have since reread that short story, and that has deepened my enjoyment of the film. So we will link to a PDF of the short story. You don't need to have read it to enjoy the film, but I think you may get a few more laughs, and it may seem a little bit more poignant if you have read the short story, but it's not essential. You don't need to do homework before this film. What have I got? They were they had to get permission off Raymond Carver's widow, Tess Gallagher. She read the script and she said that she thought Raymond Carver would love it and would be laughing about it if he saw it. So, because it is a comedy, this film, it should be stressed. And I'm near the end now. What have I got? The film's ending changed. I won't give spoilers in this introduction. So I love the original ending. Not the sorry, I love the finished ending. My only criticism, or I've got two criticisms. One of which is this is one of those films where it kind of ends about 3 times, where you think, oh, this is probably the end now, and then, oh no, it's carrying on a bit. But that's just some minor quibble. And they're all very close together, those endings. So, and maybe that was just me. I might have just thought this is ending here. Other viewers may not have that problem. And the other thing is, my other criticism is that it's not all from Michael Keaton's point of view. And I think maybe it would have been slightly better if it had been all from Michael Keaton's point of view. It mostly is, but there's a few scenes where it strays away from Keaton. And I don't know. I just thought I would have found it more immersive if it had just been from the one point of view throughout the film. But anyway, I've become distracted from. So the original ending, I'm looking at my notes here, was going to have Johnny Depp sitting in Michael Keaton's dressing room at the end, with putting on Michael Keaton's wig and with a poster of Jack Sparrow is the guy who plays, I think. I haven't seen the films. From Pirates of the Caribbean in the background, and then he would hear Jack Sparrow's voice in his head saying, and I won't do the voice because I don't know what the voice is, but what the fuck are we doing here, mate? And it was going to be like, so this is now he's going through what Michael Keaton went through. So I'm glad they changed that, partly because one, I don't like Johnny Depp. But actually, I don't mind that ending. But I think the ending they came up with is better when it gets there. And I think that is it. Oh, the final thing, the score is brilliant. It's just, though stay with me because it may not sound brilliant when I describe it. It's a jazz percussionist called Antonio Sanchez. So the soundtrack is mostly jazz drumming. Which he sat in with the director in rehearsals to get the rhythm of the film. So he didn't do it live to the screening a la Miles Davis and Lift to the Scaffold, but he did sit in with rehearsals and to get what he was doing, and it's brilliant. So that's it, really. And it did very well as well. That's the last thing to say. At the Academy Awards, it won 4 Oscars: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Cinematography. And Michael Keaton was nominated for Best Actor, and Edward Norton and Emma Stone both got nominations for Best Supporting Acting Actor and Actress categories. And I think that's about it. I've left out comparing it to Fellini's 8.5, which apparently is very close to Fellini's 8.5 in concept, because I've never seen Fellini's 8.5. But it did remind me of Woody Allen's Stardust Memories, which is also influenced by Fellini's 8.5. So I guess the lesson here is that I need to watch Fellini's 8.5. It also reminded me of Cassavetes' Opening Night, with a little bit of Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, perhaps. Um, that's it. I'm done. It's just a great film. If you haven't seen it, also actually, it reminded me a bit of the new Charlie Kaufman, or rather, while I was watching the Charlie Kaufman film, which I still haven't decided whether I like it or not. I suspect I don't like it, but I don't know, to be honest. But yeah, while I was watching the Charlie Kaufman film on Netflix, I'm thinking of ending things. It did make me think of Birdman. That's it. So Nigel will be back in 2 weeks with his film, which is somehow related to Birdman. Where will he go? We do not know. And that is it. Thank you very much for watching, and viddy well.